Today we're going to talk about winter preparations on the farm. If you have a farm, you're probably familiar with a lot of these. If you don't have a farm or you're thinking about doing it, these are some of the things you can expect when we transition from summer through fall to winter. Farming does change with the seasons, just like the seasons change. And while things slow down a little bit, it also brings its own set of projects and new things that we'll be doing. A couple of things we got to do today. We're going to get some chores done while we're doing this, but we're going to winterize our chicken tractors. We're going to talk about cattle and how they are different from summer to winter. And then we'll end with some of the things that we're doing this winter, some future projects that we're thinking about, and talk about what videos we've got coming up next. All right, let's do it. So the first thing we're doing this morning is breaking down these chicken tractors. These are for our meat birds. We've had a few chickens getting out, and as you can see, they found little places to actually lay eggs. So just something to think about. You know, if you're running a business, obviously you don't want to lose eggs. Again, I don't know how long these eggs have been here, so they will just go to the pigs. But chickens, typically if they get out, they will get in a habit, if they keep doing it, of laying their eggs in the same place. So around these chicken tractors, we got two of them right here, they're going under these tarps and laying their eggs. So we're gonna get these guys cleaned up and let's get to it. All right, we're running about 4 chicken tractors right now and probably going to run 1 or 2 more next year. But these tarps, if you take them off, they will last you usually 2 to 3 years. Leave them on and you probably won't get through the winter. So just something to think about, save you a little money next year. Take your tarps off, fold them up. These are the Siskovich tractors, which I've talked about in a few of my previous videos. If you just Google John Siskovich, you'll find his design for these tractors. Yeah, but any money you can save, totally worth it. You'd have to take these tarps off anyways if they go bad, so take them off early, save them. All right. Figured I'd quickly show you the design of these tractors. As you can see, it's basically just a wooden frame, typically 2x4s, and they're cut with lap joints. We put lap joints in them, which makes them a whole lot stronger. Just electric conduit. Do need a pipe bender for that, but then they're just bent to a V. They're nice because they're really strong, yet they're super lightweight, so they don't add a lot of weight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, I believe 10 foot long. And then we just wrap it in chicken wire. We do have these insides open right here. We've never had an issue with it. Again, you could add another roll of chicken wire over that if you wanted, and then the tarps. Like I said, the tarps last for about 2 to 3 years, just depending. You will get like frayed ends on these chicken wire, and that'll poke holes in your tarp. And then obviously the wind and such as well. Everything moves with the tractor. There's a feeder that hangs down, and that moves with the tractor as we move it. Then also the water and the bell. There's a 5-gallon bucket that we fill, and that drains into the bell, which is like an auto filler for the chickens. That hangs above as well and moves. So really you just move the one structure. It's a really neat little design. Again, credit goes to John Siskovich. You can look him up. He has a YouTube channel as well. I'll link to that below. But there's a book that he sells. I think it's like 10 bucks, and it'll totally tell you how to build this from scratch. So here was a thing of eggs, some chickens that left. I actually ran over it when I was moving the chicken tractor, but it's probably about 7 or 8 eggs there. Then we're getting ready to move this chicken tractor, and we've got a few there, and there's a few beside the other one there as well. So just part of it. As you can see, our layer birds are behind us, and we have an electric fence, but I have had a lot of trouble just we've got 4 fences stranded together for this run. And I can get usually 1, maybe sometimes 2 electrified. Once it gets over that, I don't know if it so much touches the ground, they just seem to ground out a lot. So I've even hooked it. I've got a 13 joule energizer on our electric fence that I've hooked it to, and it grounds that out pretty well. So we've only had about 2 or 3 getting out a day. They've just developed a habit of coming in here to lay. So we'll move these houses, and hopefully that'll help with that. All right, let's get back to it. So one of the things we look forward to in wintertime is projects. And that's not to say I want to do more work, but the weather's cooler, grass, I'm not having to keep up with grass. And so it's a perfect time if you've got fencing projects, there's shelters or coops, pig huts, whatever you want to build on the farm. It's just the perfect time for it. Obviously the days are a little shorter, but you also get a little extra time in the morning. Yeah, so it's one of those things. That's what we usually focus on. We try to prioritize, what's going on next year. Are we growing? Are we expanding? Are we taking on any new enterprises? And then we just kind of write down all the stuff that we want to do. Again, I love spreadsheets. We'll put these things down in a spreadsheet or a Word document. I like to do it on one of the computer formats rather than write it down, just because then you can move things around as you need to. But we just get everything down and then prioritize, what needs to happen immediately and what can wait. And if you don't get to it, it's okay. So that's one of the things that we do, when wintertime comes and everything's slowing down, is we actually speed up a little bit in that we don't do as many chores and don't have as many animals to take care of, but at the same time, we've actually got more work to do. But it's work I enjoy. It's fun. It allows you to, if you have a creative side to you, it allows you to be creative. I can't really cut anything straight, square, but at the same time, I can make things work. So, you get to build structures, redesign things. You'll do something for a year and then realize, man, I could have done that better, or I probably need a little bit more room. And so wintertime's just your chance to do all that stuff. So, all right, so let's get back to finishing up these mobile coops, and then we'll go feed some cattle. All right, so we've got our 4 shelters pretty much winterized. I'll probably just leave the buckets on for now, and we'll need to get the bell waters out of there, but I'll say it won't hurt for them to be out there either. And we've emptied the water, we've taken off the tarps, we've taken the feeders out. Let's kind of put them in with our layers over here so they can finish cleaning out the feeders. You can they're lined up along here on the inside. And yeah, so another thing we found helpful is you can see all these poles I've got here wrapped around cinder block. So we just put a cinder block down here in the bottom, super cheap. It doesn't move around. It will hold the poles in place. And yeah, just something we found worked good for us. Figured I'd share with you. All right, let's go feed some cattle. All right, we just got the bale untwined, cut the rope, and we'll get ready to spread some more out. I think that got it. And as you can see, we just got a nice long line of hay. Allows all the cattle to spread out. This is a Greg Judy bale and roller. We've done a video on that. You can see that up here in this corner. Might be in this corner, but I think it'll be in this corner. And yeah, I think we paid maybe $2,700 for it about 3 years ago, and it's held up. It's amazing. It's a little bit of work to get the bale on, but once you've done that, it allows you to spread the bale out. It also allows me to use my gator rather than a tractor, especially during the winter. If you've had rain, snow, a tractor will rut things up. So it allows me to actually do things on the gator. It allows me to get on hillsides. It really opens up where I can put hay for the cattle. So it's a great investment. I definitely recommend it. Other than that, cattle are eating, and let's talk some more about how things continue to change during the winter. So if you're going to do cattle during the winter, they're actually easier in the summer. You do have to move them around during the summer. So let's just talk about cattle in general as far as how the chores work for those guys. During the summer and the warmer months, we're rotating them around pastures. So you are picking up line, stretching out line, moving them. We do every probably 2 to 3 days to maybe even a week. Just depends on what pasture we got, what the weather's like, what our herd density is, what we've got planned for the week. If we have a lot of things going on that we know is coming up, like taking animals to processors, doing things, we will give them a bigger swath to last a little longer. Obviously, if we know we're pretty caught up and, for the next 2 weeks, we're just going to be moving cattle, doing things around here, but then we'll make them tighter and do more frequent moves. Again, it also depends on the weather. Obviously, if you've got a lot of wet weather, we try to move them a lot faster just because they will tear the ground up quicker. So, rain, snow, if any of those things, we try to move them faster. Obviously, snow, they're in their winter lot, so that's not really an issue. But that's kind of the routine for the cattle during the summertime. Now, that changes in wintertime. When things start to slow down, we do have to start giving the cattle hay. We typically, or when we first started, we would put out 2 round bales or so and just kind of set them up on their end in one of those cages and let the cattle eat out of those. But we found that around that would make a huge just mud hole, trampling, and obviously we rotated that around, but then we just had a number of mud holes everywhere. So probably about 4 years ago or so, we purchased a bale unroller, and it works amazing. This allows us to unroll the hay, which spread the cattle out. It also, we have good hay that we're putting down, which has some seeds in it, so we're seeding our pastures as we do it. It's adding fertility back to the soil, and it doesn't leave any huge clumps or mud holes like when we would just put a round bale down. Now, if you have a winter sacrifice lot, I don't think that's a big issue, then fine, go with the round bale. But we have some pastures up top that we tend to like to run the chickens through during the spring. We have horses, and occasionally we'll even bring the cattle back up to run through, so we don't really want to tear it up or get it real weedy. So we've found that, again, just unrolling the hay makes a big difference. But that's also another chore that we add during the winter. Now, we don't have to move cattle as much during the winter. We've got a couple lots, and we kind of just let them roam free. That way they'll clean up the edges. They'll really just clean it out real good. We spread the hay around still to keep them spread out so that they're not putting too much pressure in one area. So that's kind of winter prep for the cattle. Let's run up, we'll check on the pigs real quick, and we'll wrap up this discussion of preparing for winter. All right. All right, do you want to know what's awesome about pig chores today? We don't have any pig chores today. They have water, their feeder is full, they are over there in the woods somewhere probably eating some acorns and walnuts, and we don't have to really do anything today other than take a peek. Everybody looks good, and we'll be able to move on. The first thing though I wanted to talk about was if you're doing pigs over the winter. Pigs can be done over the winter. Obviously they need shelter. You can see behind me here, we set that up with some corral panels, a tarp, and this just provides shelter should we get any snow, rain. It also keeps the wind off of them. Obviously when it's cold, that helps. We also put straw and hay in there with them during the winter, and that helps to keep them warm. They will snuggle against each other, but then they've also got the hay and stuff they can burrow down into as well. So that helps keep them warm in the winter, and they do great. We're actually doing a change this year. We've been on a 6-month rotating schedule. We would take piglets in while they're young, raise them out to 6 or 7 months, get them to the processor, and either before that or right after that, we would get another set of piglets in and raise those out. And that's just become a continuous cycle, and sometimes a break's just nice. So this year we've got about 10 in here left to go out of 40 that we've done this year, and they will be going in December, beginning of December. And then we're gonna take a break for about 4 months, and we're gonna set next year up. We're gonna try to expand this pig area that we have here. And by doing that, we can bring in 40 pigs if we can accommodate enough area for that, and basically get babies in the spring, raise them to fall, early winter, and then take another 4 or 5 months off. The other reason for doing that is it helps us be a little bit more regenerative. Now, we don't rotate. We've tried that. We just haven't been able to make it work for us. We do have a lot of woods on our property, and so by making use of the woods, it's just a good use for it. But it allows us to give the land time to rest. It means after these guys are gone, we can go in and throw down radish seeds and carrots and just a whole bunch of different seeds around, and then hopefully when we get them, some of that stuff will have started to sprout, and there'll already be some forage in there for them to eat. And again, just giving the land time to rest. Right now, we're really pushing this land, and you know, we try to do things regeneratively, but learning from things that we've done, you know, raising pigs, you really don't know how much destruction they're going to do, what they're going to do, and until you do it. And so, you know, we started out with 1 or 2 pigs, and we kind of scaled up, and now we know kind of we're at our capacity with this, so we need to expand more. I talked in a video, we have another area on the farm that we may consider doing as well, but we're still trying to figure that out. Going into winter time, that's what projects are for. So that'll be one of the winter projects. But anyways, just want to talk a little bit about pigs, kind of our plans, what we're doing. And as far as wintering pigs, you know, you just got to make sure you keep them warm. Again, waters can freeze in the winter depending on where you're at. So that's something you got to think about. If you've got auto waters, at least in our experience, they don't tend to work in the winter. So you get back to doing more manual filling things, breaking ice. Feed's not really an issue there. We don't really do anything different with that. We make sure they have a lot of feed. They will burn calories, obviously keeping themselves warm and such. So you want to make sure they definitely have a lot of feed on hand. And again, just shelter. Make sure they're protected from the wind and the elements, and they do great over the winter. So So a few other things you need to think about during the winter are, one, if you're requiring machinery, you need to make sure you know it's going to start. You know, depending on where you're at, you know, if it gets too cold, sometimes your tractors, your gator, that stuff won't start if you need that to do your chores like unrolling hay. So make plans for that. We've got our tractor in a pole barn that we can warm up if need be. Another thing is just snow. If you get snow, that might affect some of the places you can go. With, you know, if you're on a tractor, you got to be careful on hills, ice, stuff like that. So again, you know, putting animals where if you know snow's coming, you're not going to have to deal with those things. And that's another thing to think about, you know, in preparing for winter. We always like to keep a lot of fuel on hand, diesel and gas. Again, you never know, you get a big snow, power lines are out, and then the gas, you know, all the gas is gone. So that's something else to think about, is just to stay stocked up on fuel so that you can run generators and do the things you need there. The location of your animals. You know, you typically don't want to put your animals in valleys or colder areas. You know, we try to get ours up on hills and get them up higher elevations on the property. That just helps to keep them warmer, keep them more comfortable, and try to keep them healthy through the winter. We talked earlier about projects. Definitely the time to do projects. Again, just get you a spreadsheet or a Word document. Write down all your projects, just your wish list of things you'd like to get done on the farm. And then you can prioritize and tackle them. And it's just a nice way to get all the thoughts on paper, get them in front of you, and get them done. All right, guys. Well, we've got our chores done. We've talked about some of our winter preparations that we're doing here on the farm, some things to expect, and we'd like to hear from you. If you're running a farm, homestead, what are some of the challenges you face during the winter? And if you have any solutions to anything or problems that you faced and how you've solved them, that would be great. Again, I've learned 90% of what I know about farming from YouTube, watching all the other guys. And so this is my way of sort of giving back, sharing what I have learned from them and my experiences, and would love to hear from you as well. So leave a comment below, let us know what you're doing and how you're preparing for winter. Other than that, some of the videos that we've got in the works, we did a chicken video where we kind of broke down our income, cost, and our profit from raising layers. And we plan to do the same thing with our broilers, our meat birds, our pigs, and our cattle. So that'll be coming probably later to the year. It might be earlier, depends on when I get the books done, really. I'm a little behind on that, as I do every year. I start off great, and then around June or July, I get way behind on that, and now I'm looking at days of just sitting in front of a computer entering numbers. So, but once we get all that settled, we'll have those videos out. And other than that, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you watching. Give us a like, subscribe, helps the channel, helps us grow. Leave a comment, and we will catch you in the next one. All right, bye.